I'm Dave, 36, truck driver. Been behind the wheel most of my adult life. You name a stretch of highway. I've probably hauled freight down it at 2 a.m., half listening to some late-night host ramble about alien conspiracies. 12 years on the road, and all that time, I thought I knew what home meant. I thought I knew what love meant. Turns out, I was just the guy paying the bills while my wife shopped for her next chapter. It started on a Tuesday. Funny how you remember the day when your life falls apart. I just pulled in from a 3-day haul Texas to Arizona and back. Dust still clinging to my boots. Road salt baked into my windshield. I walked in and found Jen swirling a glass of wine like she was about to pitch me a business plan. She patted the couch. "Can we talk?" That's never a good sign. I sat. My knees ached. Back tight from 700 miles of bad posture. Jen looked good new nails, fresh blowout, scented like something expensive. Meanwhile, I smelled like diesel and vending machine burritos. "I've been thinking," she said, smiling like this was the most natural conversation in the world. "I think we should explore other people." I blinked. Explore what people? An open marriage? I didn't speak for maybe 10 seconds, long enough to hear the fridge humming and my blood pounding in my ears. This woman, my wife of 7 years. The same woman who once threw a fit because I liked a waitress's photo on Facebook, was now casually floating the idea of sleeping with strangers while I was hauling frozen chicken across I-10. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I just stared. And something inside me slipped into neutral. She went on. "It's not cheating. Dave, it's about freedom, growth, expansion." She actually said expansion, like our marriage was a business portfolio. She said she wanted to experience life, meet new people, feel alive again. "This marriage feels restrictive," she said. "You're a good man, Dave. You really are. But I need more." And then she dropped the kicker. "There's a gym social tomorrow night. Matt will be there, you know. CrossFit Matt." Oh, I knew Matt. She'd been name-dropping him for weeks. Matt quit his job to follow his passion. Matt teaches mindfulness. Matt has abs you can serve drinks off. I should have said no. Should have raised hell. But I didn't. Instead, I breathed in deep, tasted the copper of anger in the back of my throat, and smiled. "Okay, Jen," I said, "if that's what you want, let's do it." She blinked like she misheard me. "Wait, you're okay with this?" "Sure," I said. "Let's explore." I think she expected a fight. Maybe even wanted one. Instead, I gave her rope. Let her feel like she'd won something. She lit up like I'd given her permission to chase her new fantasy. She laid out rules, total honesty, prioritizing our marriage, no emotions with others, just casual connections. I nodded, listening to her map out the terms of my own replacement. She floated off the couch, practically glowing. "This will be so good for us," she chirped. I went to bed that night without brushing my teeth. Didn't even change clothes. Just stared at the ceiling while she scrolled Instagram beside me, humming. Somewhere deep down, something clicked. This wasn't about love. This wasn't even about sex. This was about a woman chasing a lifestyle fantasy, the kind sold in influencer reels and filtered brunch selfies. A dream where you get to sleep around and still have someone mowing your lawn and paying your mortgage. But here's the thing Jen didn't count on. I don't bluff. So while she was out expanding, I started planning. The next 6 weeks were a masterclass in quiet rage. She went to her social, came back late. I didn't ask questions. She posted vague quotes about self-love and freedom. I didn't comment. She left for the weekend once, spending time at the lake with a few friends. Right. I just said, drive safe. Meanwhile, I got to work. Opened a new bank account. Moved small amounts, just a few hundred a week. Nothing flashy. I started logging everything. Photos of the dirty house I'd returned to. Credit card statements. Screenshots of her messages about finding herself. I hit the gym. Hard. Lifted like something was chasing me. Lost 15 pounds. Got my confidence back. I also started writing just to keep myself sane. One entry I'll never forget. Her growth is my erasure. I didn't cry. Not once. But every time I stood in the shower and saw a single long blonde hair stuck to my chest that wasn't mine, I felt something cold sink deeper. I started storing important documents at the garage. Moved the wedding album to a locked box. Put my wedding ring in the toolbox. Every action, symbolic. Every choice, deliberate. But what broke the illusion? Not her Instagram thirst traps. Not the dinners she skipped. Not even the hickeys she stopped bothering to hide. It was Amanda, the neighbor. One Saturday, I was out working on my '67 Camaro, grease on my hands. Sweat on my collar when Amanda walked up in bike shorts and a tank top, sipping iced coffee. "Hey, stranger," she smirked. "Heard you and Jen are exploring." I looked up. "Where'd you hear that?" She shrugged. "Small neighborhood. Jen's been around. People talk." Then she leaned a little closer, just curious if that door swings both ways. And right then, Jen's car pulled up. She saw us. Her eyes went wide. Amanda smiled and walked off. Casual. Unbothered. Jen stormed over like I'd been caught naked in bed with someone. "What the hell was that?" she hissed. "What was what I asked?" "Talking to Amanda. She wants you. You know that." I raised an eyebrow. "And that's a problem." She flushed. "It's Amanda. She's always had a thing for you. That would be messy." "Oh," I said. "You mean emotionally complicated?" "Not casual. Like Matt." She said nothing. I stepped back and let her hear her own silence. And that's when I realized Jen wasn't afraid of me cheating. She was afraid someone might actually love me. You ever walk into your own home and feel like a guest? That's how it started. Subtle at first. I'd come back from a haul and find her on the phone, laughing, legs tucked up on the couch like she didn't even hear the door open. I'd say, "Hey," and she'd glance up like I'd interrupted a performance. Not a hug, not a "missed you," just, "Oh, you're back." And then right back to talking to Vanessa or Matt or whoever the hell else was filling her schedule these days. That house, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Mortgage fully paid on my dime didn't feel like mine anymore. It felt like I was trespassing in a space that had quietly been rewritten without me. The dishes piled up. Laundry untouched. Mail stacked like a fortress on the counter. She used to be meticulous about that stuff. Now it was like chores were beneath her. I asked once, gently, if she could at least toss the dishes in the dishwasher while I was out hauling freight across 5 states. She rolled her eyes. Housework is so restrictive to my growth. "Dave," I just stared at her, too tired to argue. I'd driven 13 hours straight that day, eaten nothing but trail mix and jerky. And this woman, my wife, was preaching like a second-hand Instagram reel. But I didn't lose it. I took a breath, and I did the dishes. "See, We used to be partners. I paid the mortgage, fixed the fence, changed the oil, mowed the yard. She handled bills, cooking, errands. It worked. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real. Camping trips in Fredericksburg, movie nights, walks after dinner. I thought we were building something. But then Vanessa showed up. Twice divorced. Chronically online. Always quoting some influencer about being a goddess or living untamed. She moved back to Austin, and suddenly she was at our place every week. One brunch at a time. She started rewriting Jen's outlook. "You're too young to be tied down," she'd say, sipping overpriced matcha. "You deserve Bali, not barbecues." Vanessa didn't see value in commitment, only in reinvention. And Jen, she drank it all in like it was gospel. That's when the real changes began. She quit her job at the insurance firm without telling me. I came home to find her on the patio, scrolling her phone, sipping wine at 11 a.m. "I'm not meant for cubicles," she said. "It's killing my soul," I asked. "So, what's the plan?" "Maybe I'll write or start a podcast." I wanted to laugh or scream or beg. But all I said was, "We've got bills. Jen, I need time to figure things out." She said, "You wouldn't understand. You're just a trucker. Just a trucker." That one stuck. Not the man who pays for your lifestyle. Not the guy who's kept us afloat for a decade. Just a trucker. So while she was figuring herself out, I worked 60-hour weeks and came home to a mess. The bedroom cold, distant, the couch occupied by her and Vanessa plotting their next spiritual cleanse or retreat or whatever self-indulgent fantasy was trending that week. I started spending more time at the garage, working on my Camaro. That car never lied, never rolled its eyes, never accused me of stifling its journey. When a carburetor's busted, you fix it. When a marriage breaks, you wonder if it was ever real. And then came the night she asked for rules for the open marriage. We were in bed, separate sides. I was scrolling Zillow, wondering what it had cost to start over in Montana. She was propped up with her laptop, typing something into a shared Google Doc titled Exploration Agreement. "We should be honest," she said. "No sneaking. We prioritize each other. And no bringing anyone home. No bringing anyone home." She said it like it was sacred. Like our house, my house, was some kind of sanctum. I nodded. Inside, something clenched. Not out of jealousy, but clarity. This wasn't mutual. This wasn't ethical. This was a woman writing herself a permission slip to cheat while treating me like a backup plan. Then Amanda entered the picture. Remember the neighbor I told you about? Tight ponytail, yoga pants, ran boot camps downtown. She'd always been friendly. Jen hated that. Said Amanda was too flirty. I never once crossed a line. Out of respect. But now that respect was being weaponized against me. After the Amanda driveway moment, Jen lost it. Accused me of emotionally violating our agreement. This, from the woman who was probably getting post-workout smoothies with Matt 3 times a week. That's when I started documenting everything. Photos, voice memos, texts, screenshots. I created a folder called Asset Protection, not because I wanted to ruin her. Because I knew she was already laying bricks to ruin me. I caught pieces of her and Vanessa whispering in the kitchen one night. Something about, "If we could just get your name on the deed." They didn't see me standing in the hallway. I walked back out the front door and slammed it like I'd just returned. They froze, switched topics like amateurs. But it was too late. I'd heard enough. At the same time, Amanda invited me to a neighborhood BBQ, texted me. Just a few people. Burgers, beers, no drama. Jen's invited too. I showed Jen the message. She went pale. We're not going, she snapped. She's baiting you. She just wants to steal my husband. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, so now I'm your husband again. She didn't like that. I shrugged. I think I'll go. Meet some neighbors. Eat a hot dog. Live a little. Her face contorted, jealousy and panic twisted together. She stammered something about trust and boundaries. I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "You've been on dates, sleepovers, weekend trips. I haven't done a thing. But I can't go to a barbecue." She tried to explain how it was different, but couldn't. Because it wasn't that barbecue. It was normal, friendly, no funny business. Amanda was respectful. We talked about tools, landscaping, dog parks, but Jen didn't care. She saw Amanda as a threat not because of sex, but because Amanda actually liked me. That was the difference. Jen wanted flings. She didn't want to imagine me being wanted. And just like that, I realized she was never afraid of me cheating. She was afraid of losing control. I came home a day early. Something about the route finished faster than expected. The roads were clear. No construction, no slowdowns. I even skipped my usual stop for a burger and a nap just to surprise Jen. Call it muscle memory. Old instincts. Still pretending I had a wife waiting with a smile at the door. The house was quiet when I pulled in, too quiet. No music, no hum of Netflix, no scent of candles. Her car was there, though. I eased open the door, expecting silence. But then I heard it, low voices in the kitchen. "You just need to figure out how to get your name on the deed somehow," Vanessa was saying. My spine went cold. "Or at least establish that you've contributed significantly to the property value." She added. Jen made a soft sound, not quite a laugh. "Do you think it would hold up, I mean? Technically, I haven't paid anything." Vanessa snorted. "You live there. That counts for something. Emotional investment, presence, influence. It's not about money, it's about narrative." I didn't move, didn't breathe. They were plotting, not exploring, not growing. Plotting to take my house. I backed out silently, heart pounding, palms sweating, waited exactly 60 seconds. Then opened the door loudly, dropped my keys on the console like normal. The conversation stopped immediately. When I stepped into the kitchen, they were suddenly sipping seltzer like they'd been discussing yoga retreats. "Hey, babe," Jen said too quickly. Vanessa just stopped by. I nodded. Didn't say a word. I could feel the blood pulsing behind my eyes. Not yet. I thought, not now. Let them feel safe. Let them talk more. Because the more they planned, the stronger my case became. That night, I opened my secret email account and forwarded every recorded clip and note to Mike, my divorce lawyer. Mike had warned me months ago. If she starts trying to lay claim to the house, get proof. Prove intent. Don't confront. Document. The footage was gold. Legal. Too, it's my property. And Texas is a one-party consent state. Cameras in common areas totally above board. And now, I had audio of Jen and Vanessa literally scheming to fabricate ownership claims. Meanwhile, I kept playing the role of clueless husband. She kept up appearances, sort of. Still stayed out late. Still came home smelling like men's cologne. But now, she was acting weirdly, performative. Like putting a frozen lasagna in the oven made her a homemaker again. She even tried to initiate sex one night. Came in wearing almost nothing. Smiled like nothing had happened. I didn't flinch. I'm not in the mood, I said. She blinked. Is this about Amanda? I stared at her. No. It's about me finally seeing things clearly. That shut her up. Jen's contradictions were piling up fast. She claimed she wanted emotional honesty, yet lied about finances. She said she wanted freedom, but panicked when I took a bite of it. I watched her spending habits spiral mani-pedis, new clothes, hotel charges, spa visits. Meanwhile, she hadn't worked in 4 months. She burned through our joint account like it was Monopoly money. She even started checking my phone at night. The same woman who preached no secrets was now sneaking into my drawers, checking my receipts, trying to find something, anything to pin on me. But I was clean, cleaner than ever. Every step I took was calculated. My car's GPS erased regularly, my messages backed up, forwarded to Mike. Every word I said around her was weighed like I was talking to a wiretap, because I kind of was. Meanwhile, Amanda became an unexpected mirror. Not a fling, not a backup plan, just someone who saw things clearly. She'd send me texts. Saw Jen downtown with CrossFit Matt again. She gave me a dirty look. Does she think I'm the villain in this? Sometimes I'd laugh. Other times I'd want to scream. Amanda wasn't a threat to Jen's marriage. Jen was the threat. Amanda just had the nerve to treat me like a human. And then came the whiskey. You see, I have one rule. Just one. Don't touch the bottle. It was a 12-year Lagavulin, gifted by my brother on my last birthday. Sat sealed in the kitchen cabinet, waiting for something special. I came home from another route, walked in and froze. CrossFit Matt was in my living room, shoes off, feet up, wearing one of those tech shirts like he was sponsored by arrogance. And in his hand, my bottle, uncorked, being poured into a red Solo cup. Jen looked up and smiled like she'd invited a buddy over to play Mario Kart. Hey, you remember Matt? I looked at him, then at the cup, then back to her. You brought him here, I said flatly. She rolled her eyes. Dave, come on. It's been 6 months. The rules evolved. The rules, or you. Matt stood up, hands raised. Maybe I should go. You should have never come, I said. Jen jumped in. This is my house, too. No, Jen, I said. It's not. It never was. Her face froze. What are you talking about? I bought this house before we got married. You haven't paid a single mortgage bill. Haven't lifted a broom. Haven't fixed a single leak. You're being cruel. No, I'm being precise. Matt shifted awkwardly, clearly regretting every life choice that led him here. I kept going. I heard you and Vanessa. By the way, talking about claiming the house. About emotional value. About using narrative. I've got the tapes. Jen turned white. Matt nearly dropped the cup. You've been spying on me. No. I've been protecting myself. Matt was halfway out the door by now. Dude, I didn't sign up for this. Don't let the screen door hit you, I said. He left. Good riddance. Jen turned on me like a switchblade. You planned this. You let me walk into a trap. I laughed. You planned to rob me. I planned to not let you. She shouted, cried, threw her hands up. Said she was trying to reconnect. Said she still loved me. I said nothing, because I knew what came next. She wasn't going to go quietly. She was going to fight. And I needed to be 10 steps ahead. The next morning, I met Mike for coffee. Time to file, I said. Mike just smiled and handed me a folder. Everything was ready. I didn't flinch when I handed her the envelope. Didn't say a word. Just watched her eyes skim the first few lines, confusion turning into disbelief, then rage. "This is a joke," she snapped, tossing the papers on the kitchen island like they'd burned her. "You're serving me divorce papers." "No. Jen." "I already did," I said calmly. "You've just been informed." Vanessa was behind her, arms crossed, playing bodyguard like always. "This is how you want to handle it," she said, stepping forward. "After everything Jen gave you." "Gave me?" I raised an eyebrow. "She gave up, she gave in, she gave out, but gave me nothing." Jen's voice shook. I was trying to figure myself out. "No." I cut in. "You were trying to figure out how to screw around, burn through our savings, and still walk away with the house." Her mouth opened, closed. Then she glanced toward Vanessa like she needed a script. Vanessa stepped in. "We've consulted a lawyer." "Great," I said. "Hope they're better than your Instagram therapist." Jen looked back at the papers. "You can't do this. You can't just kick me out of my home." "Wrong again." I said, "The emergency hearing is scheduled. My lawyer filed it alongside the divorce. You'll get the notice soon. The footage of Matt in our house. You breaking your own rules, that's all part of the filing." She paled. "That wasn't cheating. We agreed. We agreed on rules you created, then ignored. I never thought you'd weaponize my growth against me." I had to laugh at that one. "Your growth had nothing to do with yoga and everything to do with manipulation." I didn't stay the night. I grabbed my duffel bag and walked straight out. Checked into a motel near the interstate. 2 stars, paper-thin walls. Still slept better than I had in months. In the morning, Mike and I went over the court documents. The case was airtight. Premarital asset check. Financial separation documented. Proof of adultery. Not required in Texas, but still in our back pocket. Abandonment of marital duties confirmed. 4 months of zero contribution while living off me. Mike leaned back, satisfied. "She's going to push back," he said. "Expect drama, emotion, maybe even some public sob story. Don't engage." "I won't," I told him. "I'm done being baited." 3 days later, I returned to the house to grab another set of clothes. Jen was waiting at the door, messy bun, mascara smudged, wearing one of my old hoodies like it still meant something. Vanessa stood behind her, arms crossed. They looked like a bad improv team waiting for a stage cue. "Dave," Jen said, "we want to be civil about this." I looked at Vanessa. "You want civil, stop scheming." Vanessa ignored the jab. "We've written down a fair proposal." She handed me a handwritten list like it was a peace treaty. I read it once. Blinked. 50% of the house. $3,000 a month in spousal support for 5 years. 50% of my 401k. I cover her legal fees. Health insurance for her for 3 years, post-divorce. I handed it back. "Yeah, nope." "What do you mean?" No, Jen asked, face falling. "I mean, that's delusional." Vanessa stepped up, voice raised. "You think you can throw her away after she gave you the best years of her life?" I stared at her for a beat, then said, "She spent the last 6 months giving those years to Matt, Kevin, and half the gym." Vanessa flinched. Jen's eyes brimmed with tears. Manipulative tears. Old tricks. I zipped my duffel calmly. "You have until the end of the week to figure out your next move. After that, the court will decide." "You're heartless," Jen said, her voice cracking. No, I'm just tired of being your doormat. Back in the truck, I called Mike. She's digging in, I said. She always was. He replied. But don't worry, we're almost there. The emergency hearing came faster than expected. Jen showed up looking polished, like she wanted to perform grief for the court. Vanessa tagged along in a blazer that still had the tag hanging off the back. I wore jeans and a clean button-up, sat straight, said little. The judge asked for evidence. Mike handed over the flash drive, the bank statements, the photos of the house in disrepair while I was on the road. Jen's lawyer tried to argue for emotional contribution, domestic presence, and evolved relationship structures. The judge wasn't buying it. His final words before ruling, marriage, in this court, is still a legal agreement. And this woman treated it like a subscription she could cancel without consequences. Boom. Jen was ordered to vacate the property within 30 days. Could not stay overnight. Could not remove shared assets without a joint agreement. She moved in with Vanessa. They lasted 2 weeks. Turns out freeloading isn't so glamorous when the freeloading's on you. Amanda texted me. Saw Vanessa at Trader Joe's screaming into her phone. Rough day. I didn't reply. Didn't gloat. Just smiled and kept driving. At home, I started packing up what mattered. The wedding album into the locked storage unit. The ring still in the toolbox, now joined by the copy of the divorce papers. The whiskey bottle empty. I poured it out that night. Not because of Matt, but because I didn't want anything in my house that reminded me of her mouth on my glassware. I also pulled down our wedding photo from the hallway, put it in a box labeled Endings, sealed it, didn't look back. Then I sat at the kitchen table, same spot where Jen once pitched the open marriage, and started writing something new. Not a letter to her, not a rant. A plan, my new budget, my goals, my 5-year rebuild. Because if she was chasing her next chapter, I was building mine with real bricks, not hashtags. 2 days later, Mike called. She's ready to settle. She's broke, I said. She's desperate. He corrected. Her lawyer wants to negotiate. I didn't even smile, just nodded. Make it clean. No support, no claim to my pension. One-time payout. He paused. 10 grand. Generous, I said. Let's be done. She came back for her things on a Tuesday, 6 months to the day from when she first said, let's explore. Poetic, if you believe in that kind of thing. The house was quiet just the way I liked it now. The Camaro was humming in the garage, post-oil change. A fresh pot of black coffee sat untouched on the counter. And the security cameras were recording in every room Jen still had access to. I opened the door when she knocked. She stood there. Messy bun. Hoodie zipped up to the throat like armor. Her makeup was minimal, just enough to look like she hadn't completely fallen apart. But the smudge beneath her eyes gave it away. She hadn't slept. She stepped inside without asking. Behind her, no Vanessa, no boxes, just a tote bag and a forced smile. I thought we could talk before I pack, she said, setting the bag down. Talk or stall, I asked. She flinched, but didn't respond. Instead, she wandered into the living room, the same one where she let Matt drink my birthday whiskey, and sat on the edge of the couch like she wasn't sure if she still belonged there. I stayed standing, arms crossed, silent. She looked around, eyes tracing the blank spots on the walls. No more wedding photo, no more shared mementos. You change things. I cleaned out the past, I said. She winced. Dave, I still love you. Silence. I know I messed up. I lost myself. But I didn't mean to lose us. I exhaled slowly. not angry, not even surprised. I'd rehearsed this moment 100 times in my head. And now that it was here, it felt empty. Like watching a rerun of a show I used to care about. "This isn't about what you meant to do," I said. "It's about what you chose to do over and over." She leaned forward, voice cracking. "Vanessa was wrong. Matt was wrong. I don't want to lose the only person who ever showed up for me. You lost me 6 months ago," I said, flat. She blinked. "Can't we just start over?" "Start over," I repeated. "After what you and Vanessa tried to pull with the house, after bringing men into my home while I was working to pay your bills." She stood now, eyes pleading. I was scared. I panicked. I didn't know how to ask for more without sounding ungrateful. "You weren't ungrateful, Jen," I said. "You were entitled. And that was the thing, wasn't it? This wasn't about passion or boredom or evolution. It was about control. Control over the narrative, over the money, over the home she didn't earn but felt entitled to decorate with other people." She started to cry then, the kind of crying that used to break me. But I'd built new muscles since then, emotional ones. I let her cry. Let her fall apart in the space she once tried to claim as hers. After a minute, I walked into the garage, came back with an old shoebox, set it on the counter and opened the lid. Inside, our wedding photo, unframed. A dried bouquet. A USB drive containing the security footage. Her wedding ring. And mine, wrapped in a shop rag. I handed it to her. "This is all that's left. The court gave you 30 days to collect your personal belongings, but your emotional baggage that stays with you." She took the box, hands trembling. "What happens now?" she whispered. "Now," I said. "Now you go. You rebuild. Just like I did. Only difference, I didn't have to lie to do it." She nodded, like she already knew. Then, she did something I didn't expect. She reached into her tote bag and pulled out a small envelope. "I wrote you something," she said. I didn't reach for it. "You can burn it, if you want. I just needed to say some things." I took it without a word. Tucked it into the drawer beneath the sink. Unopened. Not because I was afraid of what was inside, but because I no longer needed closure from someone who never offered it when it mattered. That night, I sat in the garage with the Camaro, wiped the hood with slow, circular strokes. The ring sat on the workbench next to the torque wrench, silent, small, and irrelevant now. I didn't throw it away, but I didn't wear it again either. Instead, I reached for something else, a clean notebook, and I started writing. Not about her, not even about me. I started mapping out the next 5 years. Pay off the last of the truck loan. Invest in a second property. Take the trip to Alaska I'd always postponed. Build a backyard deck, real wood, no shortcuts. And maybe, someday, open a garage of my own. Real goals, no hashtags, no authentic journeys. Just purpose. About a week later, Amanda dropped by. I was fixing the sprinkler head in the front yard when she pulled up in her Jeep. Tank top, sunglasses, water bottle tucked under one arm. "Hey, stranger," she said, smiling. "Place is looking good." "Trying to give it back some dignity," I said, wiping sweat from my neck. She watched me work for a minute, then handed me a small brown bag. Inside 2 fresh bagels. 1 cinnamon raisin, 1 jalapeno cheddar. Peace offering. She grinned. "For all the neighborhood gossip I've apparently been fueling," I chuckled. "You were the only one honest about what was going on." She tilted her head. "You doing okay?" "Better than I thought I'd be," I said. "Worse than I pretend to be." She smiled at that. "You want to get coffee sometime?" she asked. "Just two people who've survived some things." "You asking as a neighbor or something else?" She thought for a moment. "Maybe both." I nodded. "Not yet, but maybe someday." She seemed to respect that. No pressure, no pity, no pretending. That night, I opened the envelope Jen left, not because I needed to, but because I could on my terms. Inside were three things. A note that began with, "I'm sorry," and ended with, "I wish I'd been strong enough to choose you over the fantasy." A photo of us in our first apartment, holding takeout and smiling like idiots. A list titled "Things I Miss." It included, your laugh when you're tired, the way you fix everything yourself, how you made the house feel safe, coffee at 5 a.m. before your route. Me, before I messed it all up, I folded it up, put it back in the envelope, and slid it into the same drawer. Then I locked it, just like I'd locked that chapter of my life. 2 weeks after Jen picked up her things, I got the final ruling. Brown envelope, court seal, official as hell. I opened it at the garage, hands still dirty from adjusting the Camaro's brakes. Read every word twice, just to let it soak in. The house mine. No spousal support, no share of the 401k, no health coverage, just a one-time payout of $10,000. Final, binding, settled. I sat there a long time after that staring at the page, not in celebration, just stillness. It felt like someone had finally shut a door that had been swinging open and slamming shut in the wind for too long. And that was it, or so I thought. She showed up that weekend. I was outside, hosing down the driveway, wearing an old t-shirt and gym shorts. Midday sun, 92 degrees. Cicadas screaming like they had something to prove. I didn't see her at first, just heard the crunch of tires on gravel. Then the car door slammed. She came storming up the walkway like a woman on a mission. Same messy bun, but this time no makeup. Her eyes were bloodshot. And behind her, Vanessa, like some ghost that wouldn't go away. "You humiliated me," Jen said, straight to my face. No hello, no intro, just full throttle. "You dragged me through court and left me with nothing." "Correction," I said. "The court left you with what you earned, which, in the last 6 months, was zero. You weaponized everything," she snapped. "You made me look like a gold digger, a failure. You didn't need my help with that." That shut her up for a beat. Then Vanessa stepped in. "You manipulated the narrative, gaslit her, set her up from the beginning." I laughed. "From the beginning, you mean when she suggested an open marriage while I was still in my work boots?" Jen's face twisted. "You never forgave me." "No," I said. "I outgrew you. Same thing you wanted to do to me." She started pacing. Her eyes kept darting around, looking for something an anchor, a weakness. I don't know. But the cracks were showing. And then came the line, "I'll never forget. You ruined my life, Dave." I looked her dead in the eye. "No, I just stopped letting you ruin mine." The neighbors were probably watching through the blinds. Amanda definitely was. Her Jeep was in the driveway. Windows cracked, dog in the back seat. She was leaning on the steering wheel, watching everything. Jen must have seen her too. "Oh, I see," she hissed. "You're playing the wounded husband, and she's the rescue mission. Amanda's got nothing to do with this," I said. "But you wouldn't know anything about that having healthy boundaries." "You still love me," she said suddenly, like saying it could make it true. "You still care." "I care about my peace," I said. "That's it." She started to cry again, louder this time. Vanessa tried to pull her away, but Jen wouldn't budge. Not until she delivered one last blow. You'll die alone. Dave, that house will be your coffin. I didn't flinch. Better a quiet coffin than a circus tent, I said, turning my back. They left in a storm of gravel, kicking up dust like a cartoon. Amanda stepped out of her car as they sped off. You okay? She asked, walking over. Better than I've been in years, I said. But that might have been her final boss level. Amanda smirked. You handled it like a man who's already won. That night, I sat on the back porch with a bottle of cheap bourbon. Not the fancy stuff, just something real. Something mine. I watched the sun drop behind the oak trees. Let the silence crawl in around me. Inside the house was clean. Floors vacuumed. Counters wiped. Tools in place. Even the smell was better, like wood polish and black coffee. Not perfume and resentment. I looked around and realized, for the first time in years, I liked being home. A few days later, I got a text from Frank, the old neighbor who'd once warned me about open marriages never ending well. Heard about the court ruling. Congrats. Coffee's on me next time. That man had lived through Vietnam and 2 divorces. If he said good job, it meant something. And Amanda, she didn't push, didn't flirt, just kept being around, dropped off leftovers once, invited me to a neighborhood cleanup day, even offered to help restain the fence. She never once mentioned Jen again. Never said I told you so. Never tried to slide into a space that wasn't open. That alone made me respect her more than most people I've ever met. One night, I walked past the drawer where Jen's final envelope sat. I almost opened it again. Almost reread the I'm sorry's and I was lost's. But instead, I grabbed my notebook, flipped to the page where I wrote my 5-year rebuild plan, and next to the bullet point that read, remove emotional clutter, I drew a small check mark. Clean, clear, done. But just when I thought it was over, just when I'd filed the final papers, changed the locks, and started sleeping again, I got a knock on the door. Midnight. No headlights, no footsteps on the gravel, just a knock. Slow, even familiar. I opened it, and standing there, Matt. Yeah, that Matt. CrossFit Matt. His arms were crossed, his expression nervous. Maybe guilty. Maybe something worse. Hey, man, he said. Can we talk? There he was. CrossFit Matt. Standing at my door like a dog that had finally caught the car and wasn't sure what to do with it. It was midnight. I had just closed my laptop after logging a freight invoice. I wasn't in the mood for theater, and definitely not for déjà vu. You're kidding me, I said. You're actually here. I know, he replied, rubbing the back of his neck. It's weird. I wouldn't have come if it wasn't serious. So what Jen send you? I asked. Arms crossed. No, actually, the opposite. That stopped me. I let the silence stretch until it got uncomfortable. All right. I finally said, you've got 5 minutes. Use them wisely. He stepped in. Didn't sit. Just stood in the entryway like someone on trial, which, I guess, he kinda was. I didn't know how bad it got. He began. With you and Jen. When we first started talking, she made it sound like you were some bitter old trucker who didn't support her dreams. I chuckled darkly. Classic. But it was more than that. He said, She said you were financially controlling, emotionally distant, that you forced her to open the marriage just to punish her. I didn't respond, just stared, let him squirm. She lied to both of us, he said, finally. You think I replied? I'm not defending myself. He added quickly, I own what I did. I slept with another man's wife. That's on me. But she told me you were cheating too. That you'd been seeing Amanda for months behind her back. That surprised me, slightly. So she spun you as the White Knight, I said, and me as the villain. He nodded. Yeah. But here's the part I didn't expect. Last week after the court ruling, she showed up at my apartment. Let me guess. Crying. Makeup smeared. Talking about how broken she was. Exactly, he admitted. She said you'd manipulated the system. That you'd stolen her life. And then this is the part that made me come here. She asked if she could move in. I blinked. Seriously? Yeah. Not stay over. Move in? Said she needed somewhere stable while she rebuilt. I let out a slow breath. She never wanted you, man. Not really. You were just the story she used to justify burning down her life. He swallowed hard. I see that now. Then came the real twist. She told me she never thought you'd actually go through with the divorce. She thought you'd break. That you'd beg her to come back once you saw her with someone else. I nodded, finally understanding the full picture. She was never exploring. I said, she was testing. Yeah, and she failed, he muttered. We stood there a minute. Two men who, despite everything, were both casualties of the same fantasy. Different weapons, same wound. He looked around the house, clean, still, quiet. It's weird, he said. I figured you'd be living in chaos after all that. Nope. I cleaned out the noise. He looked down, then back at me. You don't owe me anything. But I needed to tell you the truth. Face to face. I nodded. You did. He stepped back toward the door. For what it's worth, I think you came out ahead. I know I did, I said. He smiled, faint but genuine, and walked out without another word. I closed the door and exhaled. Not because I was angry. Not even because I felt vindicated. But because I finally understood. I was never the enemy in this story. I was the mirror. And she hated what she saw in it. The next morning, I did something simple. I took down the last photo of Jen that was still on my phone. Not out of spite, not to erase her. But because that chapter didn't belong in my pocket anymore. It belonged in the past. Later that week, Amanda and I ran into each other again, this time at the farmer's market. She held up a jar of honey. Think this would go with coffee or just tea? Both, I said, smiling. Life's too short for rules like that. We walked for a while. Talked about normal things, potholes, gas prices, a neighbor's dog that wouldn't stop barking. No pressure, no agenda. Just peace. And that felt rare enough to hold on to. I still drive, still take long hauls. But now I bring books with me. Real ones. I started reading again something Jen once mocked. You're not the book type. She used to say, funny. Turns out I am. I also started journaling more. Not about her, about me. Because, for the first time in years, I'm writing a story that doesn't revolve around someone else's expectations. Sometimes people ask if I'll ever remarry. I tell them the truth. I don't need a ceremony. I just want someone who won't treat love like a phase. That usually gets a pause, or a nod, or a quiet. Yeah, I get that. So, if you've made it this far. If you watch this whole saga unfold from Jen's brunch phase to CrossFit mat to the courtroom victory, here's what I'll say. Love doesn't die from boredom. It dies from betrayal disguised as enlightenment. You want freedom, fine. But don't pretend you're being brave while someone else is holding the rope steady for you. And if you're where I was, sitting in the dark, wondering when your life stopped being yours, here's your sign. Clean the garage, lift the damn weights, open the separate bank account, and don't apologize for saving yourself. Thank you for listening. Drop a comment if this hit home, or if you've ever been explored into oblivion. And hey, if you're the one doing the exploring, maybe don't use someone else's loyalty as a safety net.